We want to give a shout out to our sponsors, Watchman Cigars, 1812 Barbecue, and Webmerized website design. Without you guys, the show would not be possible. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Southern Fried Philosophy Podcast, where it's our take on life, liberty, and the pursuit of gravy, while you, the listener, are getting a degree in common sense. We are broadcasting from the Blue Collar Motorcycle Company studio right here in beautiful Concord, North Carolina. I'll be your host, Biggin, and how about you? We've got a great show lined up for you, as always, but before we begin, let me introduce you to the second half of this flaky biscuit. That's right, I'm talking about the pride of Mooresville, North Carolina, 2016's honorable mention barbecue champion of the world, the inventor of the Southern Fried headline show on old mic number one. There he is, producer Brian. What up, man?
Hey, glad to be here. Do you know this is episode number 120?
120, my friend.
That's a lot. So I did a little bit of math.
Okay. All right.
That's over 10,000 hours of podcasting.
Good gracious.
So you and Mojo have done, that means you are, depending on how some people count this, you are master podcasters.
Ooh.
So it takes 10,000 hours to master a skill.
Oh. You think we can get on Jim Harold's Pod Lords now?
I guess, yeah. I mean,
we can see.
Yeah, it's like, the way I did the math was it's an average of an hour and a half an episode.
Okay.
That times 120.
Sure.
That's 10,800 hours technically. So
I feel like we still haven't done jack crap. Like, I still feel like on day one, I haven't gotten any better.
Oh, that sounds better.
Well, because of you. Because of your expert tutelage on the audio part.
I don't know. I think that this equipment in this new studio is kind of helping us out a little bit.
Yeah, no doubt. And your skills are awesome. So just want to say some upcoming events that we have. Hook, Line, and Heroes. It's a bass fishing tournament in Mooresville, North Carolina, your hometown. A payout of $1,000. If you want some information, check out Fishing for a Mission 2019 at eventbrite.com. Also, Watchman Cigars has two events, Rooftop Spooktacular, October 26th, and the Duke Mansion Sangria and Cigar, October 26th. Boy, I can talk. How about
that's a lot of S's. Sangria and cigar.
Yeah. And spooktacular always gets me.
Oh, yeah. Spooktacular, sangria, and cigar situation.
That's, it's one of those things. What is it? Onomatopoeia?
I think that's where things sound like animals or like buzz.
Oh,
the word sounds like the sound it makes.
Gotcha.
I'm remembering 8th grade.
God, it's been so long since 8th grade. Anyway.
Yeah, really.
Want to give a shout out to our listeners from Charleston, Charlotte, Charlottesville, Chattanooga, and Chicago. All brought to you by the letter C.
Ch.
Like cha you later. Oh, no, see you later. One of those. I'm going to ask you like I ask Mojo every week. How you be doing?
I'm good. I'm actually sitting in Mojo's chair right now, which feels a little weird. He couldn't be here tonight. But I don't know if you've seen these or not, but have you seen the Woods of Terror billboards?
No.
This year, they're different, or the one I've seen is different. So I used to drive up 85, I-85 in North Carolina all the time, my previous job. And they had these, this time of year, it's a haunted forest kind of deal.
Okay.
They had these billboards, like, they were rough, like horror type pictures.
Super scary.
Like really scared, like, yeah, they were disturbing, I would say.
All right.
Some of them. And I always thought about, like, maybe I kind of wanted to, it upset me as a father with small children.
Sure.
If I'm driving down the road and you see these signs, I don't want my kid going, what is that? Like,
right.
It almost gives me nightmares, and I'm a mostly stable adult.
Right.
So I was driving up here, actually, I think for church on Sunday, and I saw one of the billboards.
Okay.
And it's like a unicorn, like flying across puffy clouds or something. And it says, this billboard isn't scary, but the Woods of Terror is. I'm not necessarily plugging for them unless you're into that sort of thing. But because they really made me mad the last couple of years with their stuff. But I'm wondering if enough people complained about because they were getting every year they were getting a little rougher.
They're pushing it every time.
Yeah, and that's one of those things where I'm like, why is that not If I know Mojo's big about no regulation, that needs to be regulated because everybody doesn't need to be looking at that.
Yeah,
so.
No, I understand. What is your deal on haunted houses? We're in that time of year, haunted forests, things of that nature.
They were fun when I was a teenager and had like a lady friend with me.
Oh, I see.
Get scared easier than me, so maybe someone could grab onto someone else if it was a situation there. But
you want.
I would go. Close. There was one in Mooresville actually that I enjoyed. It wasn't. It was. I never went when I was scared enough to think it was real, but I've been in some that like totally freaked me out.
Yeah,
definitely. So, I'm fine with it. I think it's it's a good money maker for a lot of businesses.
Yeah.
And as long as you don't get too crazy with it. But like the ones I was at. I'm trying to remember. You just like walk through the woods and stuff would like jump scare you a little bit. And I think I saw one thing that kind of made me like actually run out of the place.
Ooh. Oh man. I'm gonna need details.
Well, yeah. You go through this whole thing, you walk through one place and you hear like a chainsaw start up. Like, okay, well, it's time to move. Yeah. Well, there's a chainsaw. And you walk out in this real quiet section of the woods.
Oh no.
So you're walking down and you look straight ahead and there's like, the Halloween guy. What's I can't remember. Michael Myers. You see Michael Myers.
Okay. Like
way down there. Like, okay, I see him. It's not that scary. Well, that's a mirror, and he's right next to you.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's like, whoa, And I may have jogged out to the.
Yeah.
It was the last thing they did anyway. So,
sure.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good though. I didn't.
It was good. It was well done.
Yeah.
It was well done.
Well done. For me, I have to go now and ask. Just to make sure there's no clowns here, right? Like that's my biggest thing.
That's a thing. It's
yeah,
because
I'm petrified of clowns. And before they weren't really that scary, or I mean, they didn't have them a lot in the haunted, forests or whatnot. I didn't see a bunch when I was growing up.
Yeah.
But now they're everywhere, so I've got to be very careful. It's like clowns to me have to be like a peanut allergy warning. Like, I've got to make sure there's none in the area whatsoever, or else I'm going to break out.
This facility may have clowns.
Right.
Okay.
I'm going to need a stamp or something on that.
Wow.
It's just bad. Like, I really need to go talk to my therapist about it because it's pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, clowns, I can see how they can be creepy. I grew up watching was it Bozo on Chicago or whatever, WGN or something like that. So, and if you think about it, I feel like it was patterned after him or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look at the red. And there's just like, so I don't have any particular, I mean, I get it. Like, I don't like scary clowns, but regular clowns, whatever.
Yeah. They all, to me, they could turn at any moment to become said scary clown. And then I'm like, I'm out. So.
Yeah. Then you got the Joker movie out now, which is basically a clown going insane, I guess, is the premise. I
haven't seen it. I heard good things about it, but it's very disturbing.
There's a lot of hype about that movie.
Yeah, a lot of hype, but it's dark. It's a good dark movie is what I've heard. I don't know. Who knows? I will say one thing that is not dark is quilting.
Unless there's black fabric, I guess.
Oh, maybe.
Goth quilting, is that a thing?
I noticed that going to take foster kid 1 to school today, there's been signs for quilting shows. They're having one up by High Branch Brewery, that whole Gibson Mill area, whatnot. But like, I know it's kind of a Southern thing, not just a Southern thing, but a lot of Southerners love to quilt. Like old grandmas love to quilt. When was the last time you said to yourself, I desperately need a quilt?
I don't know that I've ever needed a quilt.
Yeah.
I've liked having them available though.
Yeah, I don't. But just why not get a blanket instead of a quilt? Why a quilt?
I don't know. They tend to be. I think they're more comfortable. They're almost like a comforter, like on your bed. I think, but the ones I have, or the ones that have been made for me.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're cozy. I don't know, and I'm not one that I don't have like one of those blankets that doubles as a shirt. What do you call those things? had like a hood in it. I forget what it was called. But it was a Snuggie or something like that.
Snuggie. Got you.
I'm not one of those guys. I can't have my feet covered up in the bed.
Seriously?
Yeah, but not at first. When I fall asleep, they end up in there. But that's a different topic, probably.
Wow. Yeah, we're gonna have to write that down. Come back to that.
I don't know. I like them. Actually, we got one as a wedding gift from one of my wife's friends in Pennsylvania.
Right.
She's way younger than me, probably. She's
sure.
She might be 30, but she made us a quilt. It took like a year.
Yeah.
Apparently, it takes a while. You can't just like put them in the oven and pull them out.
Right.
But yeah, quilting show is something I don't really understand.
No, I don't. And there's the different patterns, and people spend a year on it. I'm just going to go down to Kohl's and get a fuzzy blanket and then just enjoy that. Like
they sell them. Is there like a really high market for quilts?
Maybe. I don't know. I'm sure you can buy other people's quilts.
Like you go to a barbecue show and you get to sample barbecue.
Right.
You get to take like a little doily quilt home with you, or like a coaster or something.
I don't know. Like, it fascinates me, just the people that spend all this time on a quilt.
Who has that kind of time is what I want to know.
Yeah.
Because I do not have that time. And then apparently some young people.
Yeah, some young people. That's their deal. I think we need to go check this out for the show. That would just be fun to go.
That's definitely a thing we could do. We take our live rig down to a quilting show.
Right.
And interview some quilters.
Yeah.
Take some pictures maybe.
I mean, if that's not radio gold, I don't know what is.
Yeah, we might need to hit Southern Strain first. But great idea.
All right, so let's go to some wacky news brought to you by 1812 Barbecue. If you need a fantastic catering gig with some fantastic barbecue and impeccable sides, check out our friends at 1812 Barbecue on the sponsor section of our website. All right, so here is breaking news. Amid the fury of new prohibitions signed over this weekend by the governor in California, no furs, no circus animals, no smoking on the beach. There's a new California law that lifts a prohibition. You can now eat roadkill.
Yes.
Legislation sponsored by Senator Barb Archuleta of Montebello allows drivers who fatally strike a deer, elk, pronghorn antelope, or a wild pig can now take the dead animal home as long as they apply within 24 hours for a free, quote, wildlife salvage permit.
So those animals is very limited?
Just those animals,
So if you hit a duck, you can't go home and make duck comfy?
No. The new law also allows such salvaging by people who happen upon recently dead animals on the road.
Okay. This seems like it's happening in the wrong place, right?
Right.
Because of all the places in the world where you think about Bubba's going to go pick up the deer off the road.
Right.
It's not California.
It's not California.
I know there's some hunting. Actually, I know a friend of mine that moved to California who's a good old boy. So he's out there and he might go for this.
Right.
But this seems like a Texas law or Montana law or
Alabama.
Sure. Yeah.
Georgia. I mean, this is a southern law right here.
Yeah, and I'm not saying you should do this necessarily, but that's
I'm just saying.
But
if you're going to hit it and it's salvageable, why not pick up the deer meat?
Yeah. Now, if you hit a deer, you might have trouble getting the deer home because the whole front of your car's wrecked.
True.
So you just put it in the back and then get the tow truck, take both of you.
There you go. That's a good idea.
What's the logistics on that?
Well, he's got to
You need to put like a flag, say this is my deer. No one else take it till I come back 10 hours from now.
Yeah. And then the fact that it's 24 hours but after it's been damaged. Like, if it's been laying in the road for more than like an hour, I feel like questionable. Like 24 hours?
Yeah, if you're in like, what's that desert in California?
Yeah.
And maybe they don't have the
Mojave?
wildlife. Yeah, there's Mojave. There's that one. Yeah. There's like Death Valley in California.
Sure.
But like 10 minutes, that thing's done, right?
Yeah. I would not stumble upon that 5 minutes later and be like, well, maybe 5 minutes, but not like 20 minutes later. Like, because gnats and stuff or flies are already,
yeah.
Gross.
Remember the Roadkill Cafe? Like, I hope it was a parody, but there was like menus online and T-shirts you could get.
Right.
This just reminds me of that.
Yeah.
From the 90s.
But now you can actually do it. They said that the law is going to go in effect into 2021, with the launching of a pilot program that includes the creation of a mobile app that requests the permits that way.
Huh.
I mean, if you don't do it via a mobile app, do you have to go stand in line for said permit?
Yeah, what's the regulation
DMV?
for that too? Like,
right.
If you just say it's been 26 hours,
right,
you pick that thing up. Are they going to have like troopers or like wildlife officers just kind of scouting out the carcass? Oh, well, it's been too long, got my stopwatch out.
I'm not saying it's like my Haverty's, what's it, like the stain protection plan that I have that says you only have like 30 days to declare a claim. I'm like,
it happened. Furniture reupholstered.
Yeah, it happened 4 months ago, but it happened 30 days ago.
Yeah, now I can see if you hit like an 8-point or 12-point, like a deer, like a trophy deer. And like, oh yeah, I totally took that one out myself, and you take it to the taxidermy.
In your busted vehicle that you just... The 1812 barbecue story started over 20 years ago when Eric and his dad started entering local barbecue competitions for fun. During that time, Eric, a United States Marine, has traveled all over the world picking up flavors and techniques that today is the unique flavor of the award-winning 1812 barbecue. He has honed his craft to bring you fall-off-the-bone pulled pork, mouth-watering ribs, and finely crafted beef brisket. Eric has developed his own amazing dry rub and delicious barbecue sauce. And let's not forget the sides: coleslaw, smoked Gouda mac and cheese, cowboy baked beans, and to top it all off, banana pudding and pecan pie for dessert. Getting hungry yet? Good. Call or email Eric at 1812 Barbecue, and he can make your next catered meal happen. Wedding and graduation parties, family reunions, and other events will be memorable with 1812 Barbecue. Want to try your own hand at smoking meats? Pick up your own 1812 dry rub and start the journey for yourself. Shipping all over the world, connect with Eric on his Facebook page, Instagram at 1812 Barbecue, or call 704-604-5148, or email Eric at eric.line@1812barbecue.com, and he'll be glad to help any way he can. All right, we talked about this last week. We talked about drive-ins and who has the slowest drive time. We said Chick-fil-A had the slowest drive time. But now there are cities banning new drive-thrus. Drive-thru windows at fast food restaurants, banks, and other businesses have long represented the convenience for which American businesses are renowned. But the ease of idling in a vehicle while waiting for your order is now associated with another development: climate change. Dum, dum, dum. As a result, some communities across the U.S. are banning the drive-thrus, citing the additional carbon emissions that are released. Minneapolis this summer banned the construction of new drive-thrus, while officials in Long Beach, California, have imposed a 6-month ban while they do a study. Similar ordinances restricting or prohibiting fast food windows have now been adopted in communities such as Creve Coeur, Missouri, I've lived there, Fairhaven, New Jersey, and Orchard Park, New York. Minneapolis cited air pollution from idling vehicles as a major factor for the ban on drive-thrus, along with litter, noise, and the potential of vehicles blocking sideways, which can increase the risk of a pedestrian accident. So what say you, banning drive-thrus to reduce carbon emissions?
Well, I mean, folks are just going to go to a different drive-thru if there's no drive-thru at the restaurant. It's not going to stop people going through a drive. I mean, if you ban all drive-thrus, that might be a step in a direction. I'm not going to say what's right or wrong
right
on that front. If you want to ban something that's causing emissions, you need to ban the car rider line at the elementary school.
Oh.
Because that's way longer.
I bet that's next.
I don't know the solution to that problem either, but
parachuting them in.
Like shoot them out of a cannon.
Oh, yeah, from your home.
Yeah. It's just, because I sit in those every day, and no, I'm not turning my engine off because I'm listening to a podcast or something.
You're right. Or editing a podcast.
But this is, this seems ridiculous to me.
Right. And it's just a few towns. Like, that's not going to do anything, y'all.
Yeah, and I think we've talked about it here before. America, as advanced as we are, everyone has a car, and we're putting all these emissions out. We're not probably the biggest culprit of this pollution/air pollution thing.
Right.
Yeah, maybe it's there's a human effect. I think that's a thing on some level, a small. But the planet gets hotter. The sun's actually, I was listening to a podcast. It was a kids podcast for this maybe 2 days ago, and they were talking about greenhouse gases and emission, and the planet was hotter like millions of years ago. And then like it naturally cooled off because of the carbon dioxide and oxygen plants and all that sort of thing. But they said the sun's actually hotter now than it was then. It keeps getting hotter, which is a factor that I haven't heard anyone talk about before.
No, I haven't heard that one either.
So global, it's literally is global warming.
Not man-made global warming.
It's solar. It's the sun's going to go supernova and burn us all out that way.
Ooh.
So that's going to be some serious warming. But there is more emissions. There's less plants. All that, that's all factors, I guess. But
so is there going to have to be a plot now to cool the sun down?
Yeah, that's what we need. See, cool the sun. We're just going to ship like a bunch of. They're already trying to make glaciers. So they're trying to fabricate glaciers. I don't know if you've heard about this or not.
By the submarines.
Yeah, my thought was, just get, if you have like the Yeti Corporation make giant Yetis, and fill those with the glaciers. Just scoop them there, and they'll stay cool for. I've made water this morning, and I came back this afternoon and there was still ice in my cup.
Yeah,
just do that.
Put the glaciers in a Yeti cooler.
Yep,
you're done.
That's it.
You saved the planet.
Yep, you're welcome.
The other intended problems that this is trying to solve is also health and trying to fight obesity. The less drive-thrus you have, the less fat people you'll have.
Well, so I have a tendency to run through the drive-thru after we record this show. Would I go in and get the food if there wasn't a drive-thru, and I would just go home and eat like some carrots or something? That's the question.
Yeah.
And I probably just would not eat anything because I'm like, Taco Bell's right over here. Let me just sneak over and scarf that on my 20-minute drive home. And I don't know that would happen. That may be a real thing. That could be a.
There was a research published in Social Science and Medicine found obesity rates climbed following a 2008 regulation banning opening or expanding standalone fast food restaurants through drive-through windows in South Los Angeles. So they banned it, and then people just still got fatter. So congratulations, America.
Standalone fast food. Does that mean like you put like combo, like you have like a food court drive-through?
No, I think it's like you can't go in. Like the cookout,
like a cookout where a lot of them you can't. Or there's those coffee places where you can just drive to the outside.
Yeah,
there's a chain in South Carolina I've never been to that does that.
Yeah, you have a Taco Bell.
Yeah, speaking of Taco Bell, that's a professional segue, is what we call that. Apparently, I'm just finding out about this, but a New Jersey couple was suing, or they did sue Taco Bell, because their $5 fill up or $5 cravings box, I forget the exact name. Oh, it's the cravings. This is about the Chalupa Cravings Box, which is delicious. I've had it. That's my go-to. But the advertisement said it's a $5 like fill up, kind of like KFC does. It's a $5 box.
Yep.
This couple went through the drive-through. It's $5. There was about 88 cents worth of tax, but they ended up paying like a $12.18 for two of these $5 boxes. So wait a minute, this math doesn't add up. So they've basically sued Yum, the conglomerate, for their $2.18. Because, the commercials say at participating locations for a.
Oh, okay.
But apparently this is in federal court for some like false advertising thing.
So to understand, a Taco Bell that they went to was not offering the $5 Chalupa Cravings box. It may have been like a $6.08 Chalupa box.
Apparently, these average, depending on the Taco Bell you go to, it could be as high as $8 for this $5 box. At participating, because you hear that all the time at participating locations. Yeah, and I think, okay, this won't work at the airport,
right,
or the mall, maybe.
Right.
But the most I figure drive-through kind of places, they're not I don't think they're independently owned. They're franchises. Yeah,
I would think that they would all have to do a $5 craving.
If the commercials are in your market, you know. So it's in federal court. It caught my eye because
Now,
I tend to look for ridiculous things.
Do they realize that the lawyer fees are going to be much more than $2.18?
Yeah, what's the payout going to be? I didn't finish the article.
We can take a break and you can finish the article.
So the cost of filing a civil lawsuit in Superior Court is $250.
Okay.
So they want their $250 back plus $2.18, I think.
Do they not have anything better to do in their life?
Oh, wow. Okay. They said the potential award for, damages could be more than $75,000.
Now I'm starting to get on the bandwagon here. $75,000 payout.
Let me see how many $5 boxes that is. That's 15,000 $5 boxes.
How many $6.08?
That's the question. if they're not actually, it's called a 618 box. You can only get 12,000 maybe? 121? I can't math. Math is hard.
Even with a calculator.
Anyway, you could probably buy a few fill-up boxes for $75,000.
So all that for the conclusion of you can buy just a few of them.
That's a good investment though. You have they owe you $2.18 and you turn it into $75,000.
Yeah, no doubt. Warren Buffett. I like it.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
So everyone just pay attention to the commercials. We'll just take care of that. That'll take care of the fast food problem right there.
Sure. It was the medical community. Now everybody's targeting the fast food community.
Yep.
Got it. All right, so let's go to Hot Topics brought to you by Watchman Cigars. If you want a quality cigar at a reasonable price, check out our friends at WatchmanCigars.com. You can check them out on their website at WatchmanCigars.com. All right, so felony hand gestures. What's going on with this, Producer Brian?
Okay, so, as I'm doing this headline show, I'm reading a lot of weird news.
Okay.
I don't read any real news. Like
sure.
The important stuff. Like there's something's happening on the other side of the planet. Mm-hmm. Heard a little bit about that, but I don't really know what's going on. But
that's Mojo's job, and he's not here.
That's right.
That's out the window.
Exactly. So it's almost a continuation of it's wacky, but it's kind of burning my biscuits, you might say.
Sure. Come on.
So there was an article I saw today. So finger guns.
Right.
Pew,
pew, pew, pew, pew.
I was actually, this was on my show last week, but a guy basically stopped a hit and run pursuit
right.
by pointing a finger gun and saying, "Hey, stop!"
Uh-huh.
And the guy stopped and backed up, and he caught a guy who injured people in a hit and run.
Yeah,
essentially using his finger guns. So this is why I'm bringing this up, because I saw another article today, and a middle schooler was arrested and charged with a felony for pointing her index finger and thumb at another student. Mm-hmm. And the resource officer at the school suggested that she be arrested.
And she was arrested.
She was arrested. She's already appeared in court with the grandfather. There was a bunch of articles about it today. We'll put some links in the show notes to that. But and they're talking about having some education classes. She may get out of the felony part of it and it's juvenile. She's, I think, 13 or something like that. But people are getting too crazy with these
100%.
hand gesture things. So that's the thing. And then, the okay sign. I think we've talked about the okay sign before.
Yeah. And to go back, I remember we did a story where a kid got suspended because he chewed his Pop-Tart in the shape of a gun and fired at somebody. Like, y'all, seriously.
Come on.
It's a Pop-Tart.
So my question is someone, if I'm sitting in a boring meeting and I kind of put my finger to my temple, like,
you're out.
You just kill me. Am I going to be put under suicide watch for that?
Yes, 100%.
It's just ridiculous. Come on, guys. These are kids. They searched her for a real weapon. Like, this is way overboard.
I understand, because what's going to happen is, one time some kid's going to do that, and then they're not going to press charges or whatever, and then they're actually going to go fire up the school. And then you're like, oh, well, here we go. I mean, I know you got to take all things seriously, but a felony charge for a 13-year-old, y'all, come on.
Yeah, and I think some of this has to be case by case. I mean, what was the history of this child?
Right.
Was she aggravating other students? Was she, I don't know, did she bully? What was or was she bully? There's all kinds of things that could go into this. I think about my 3-year-old, he pretends he's Iron Man. So he'll walk around the house and, hold his palm up like Iron Man does. Mm-hmm. At what point is that going to be constrained as a threat?
Yeah.
I
mean, hands up, don't
use your head, people. This is dumb.
And this okay symbol.
Yeah.
This one gets a little bit more.
This one, this is the other side of it.
Mm-hmm.
This guy, you look at the pictures, he's doing something he shouldn't be doing.
Sure.
You can see it in the photo.
Yep.
So it's like a kid's birthday. They're at Universal. He's dressed as a minion from the Despicable Me.
It was the guy. It wasn't the minion.
It was Gru. Oh, it was Gru. Right.
Yep.
It was Gru. It was the main character, I guess, of those movies. And he's doing the upside down okay, which we've everyone thinks is a hate sign now.
Yeah.
And the way the picture looks really bad for this dude.
It does.
Right?
Yeah.
Is he just was he just resting his hand like that?
You can't rest your hand like that. It just doesn't look right.
Yeah. So maybe it may not be a hate thing. It could be because, when I was a kid, you did that and if you did it, you got to punch someone in the arm.
Right. That's why I'm not looking at it.
It's a game. Yeah. Because you see, I've shown this to Biggin 3 times. He's not taking the bait.
No, I got you.
Hey, there's something under the table. I think you need to.
Careful.
Yeah.
It's a family show. But yeah, when you did that as a kid, it was a game and you played with it. And then it's an upside down okay symbol.
Yeah.
And somehow that got connected to white supremacy.
Yeah, there's some white supremacist hate crime guy used the symbol in public at his hearing or trial or as he's being carted into prison.
Yeah.
He held up this sign. And so everyone suddenly, you're not okay anymore, you're a white supremacist.
Right.
Because that's the W, I guess? Is that what we're looking at? Is that what that is?
I'm not looking at it.
Okay, I'm going to hold it high. I'm not going to punch you, I promise. All right.
I thought it was Whopper.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Whopper, yeah.
So, man,
I don't know.
We're getting a little bit too much into this, y'all.
We're not going to be able to leave the house.
No.
You can't you can't communicate with people in any way that's not written and had your lawyer review it first.
I think I'm going straight back to hieroglyphics. I'm just going to use those, chisel it out on some stone. We'll go back to the good old days.
Take them to the quilt show.
Oh, yeah. I'll communicate via quilts.
There you go. Perfect. That's it. You have time to
it
think about what you're going to say. You can't come out rash. It'll always be premeditated and intentional, whatever comes out of that quilt.
I've waited 1 year to say, yes, please.
Thank you.
All right, so our next thing we're going to do is, have you heard about this Impossible Whopper?
I've seen the commercials.
It is a fake hamburger, plant-based hamburger.
Yep, not a hamburger.
Burger King.
It's I call that a salad. Or
So here is the definition of said Impossible Burger. Okay, so our Impossible Whopper sandwich features a savory flame-grilled patty made from plants, topped with juicy tomatoes, fresh lettuce, creamy mayonnaise, ketchup, crunchy pickles, and sliced white onions on a soft sesame seed bun. 100% Whopper, 0% beef.
Made from plants, like ferns and what plants were?
Right.
It doesn't say made from vegetables.
No, it just says plants.
Plants. I have grass in my yard that's a plant. Is that what this is going to be?
Also, there's an asterisk. For guests looking for a meat-free option, a non-broiler method of preparation is available upon request.
It's contact, I believe, with the grill. So they grill it
on the
same griddle. It's not a meat-free griddle.
Yeah, gotcha.
So kind of like,
y'all.
We and you were talking about peanut stuff beforehand. And that's something I look at because my kids have peanut allergies.
Sure.
So that's a thing. If you're super vegan and you don't want your Impossible Burger to have even seen what real meat looks like.
Yeah.
Because it might upset your stomach.
So we're going to compare the side-by-side comparison of the plant-based Whopper versus the regular Whopper. And then I actually bought one, so we're going to go taste it.
All right. I'm excited.
So do you have we'll read them out. I've got the Impossible Whopper. You bring up the regular Whopper. And then we'll go through the nutritional information of said burger or plant-based burger. All right, the nutritional information on the Impossible Burger, the calories are 630.
Okay, the calories on the original, the OG Whopper, I want to call it, is 660. And these are without cheese, to be clear.
Okay, 30 calorie difference.
30, yep.
The fat content clearly that's got to be much higher because it's plant-based.
Has to be.
So mine is 34 grams.
Oh, wow. You beat me by 6 grams of fat. It's 40.
Whoa!
40, yeah.
I'm already getting healthier. Saturated fat, there's 11 grams of saturated fat.
11?
Mm-hmm.
I've got 12.
Whoa!
That's the bad fat.
That's
right?
the bad one, yeah.
Is this one? Oh, wait.
The trans fat, I have 0 grams.
Okay. This is where you got me. 1.5 grams.
We're crushing it here. Cholesterol, we have 10 grams for the Impossible Burger.
Okay. This is 90. So that's a bigger difference.
Okay.
That one.
The cholesterol,
now we're getting somewhere.
okay. Now we've got the difference. What about the sodium milligrams? I have 1,080.
Here's the thing. To make plants taste good, you got to add a lot more salt.
Okay.
This is 980. So it's less sodium in the OG Whopper.
100 milligrams difference. Carbs. It's clearly got to be cheap on the carbs. 58 carbs.
Well, it's plant-based. There's probably more carbs in it.
Oh, yeah. Maybe that's right.
For the buns, this is 49 on the Whopper. So it's less.
The regular Whopper is more keto-friendly than the plant-based
Yes.
Whopper. Fiber, there's 4 grams.
2.
Ooh, sugar, 12 grams.
You're beating me in 11. Like it's a higher. And again, that's a little bit more sugar, and the plants have a sugar in them.
All right. And protein, clearly the regular burger's got to have more.
Gotcha.
This has 25.
28.
What?
Barely.
Just barely.
So this is the same. It's impossible that this sandwich is better for you.
Listen, can I be honest with you? So I went by the drive-thru to get said Impossible Burger. I also picked up dinner for myself. I had a regular burger.
Okay.
When I ate it, I said, "This is impossible that it's an actual burger." Because they don't taste that good.
Burger
y'all.
King's not the best.
Yeah.
I don't think they were they even on the food bracket when we did that?
They were. They
didn't last. Yeah.
They lost.
I mean, there's something to be said, like for a like the plain cheeseburger, Whopper cheeseburger.
It's not horrid.
It's not bad. Anything else in that building? And I think you probably like the croissants, right?
I do like the croissants.
In a pinch. I've eaten my share of them. They've got the croissant with the you can get sausage and bacon on it. Man.
Yeah. And now they have like waffles, like waffle sandwiches.
Oh.
Those look kind of interesting and good.
I'm not going to say whether I'm going to investigate or not.
Okay. All right. So we're going to pause it. We're going to go because we're in the new studio.
If you're in the market for a high-quality cigar for a very reasonable price, you must check out our friends at Watchman Cigars. Watchman Cigars is a family-owned business that puts the customer first with the best customer service in the business. Watchman Cigars offers the Habano for a full, spicy flavor, the Connecticut for a mild, easy-to-smoke option, and the Maduro for a strong, powerful experience. They even do specialty blends and partner with you to provide a custom, exclusive line just for you. Watchman Cigars has all your cigar needs. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram at Watchman Cigars 1991, or check out his new website at watchmancigars.com or the sponsor section of our website.
All right, so we're back. We just got back from the kitchen again because we're not allowed to eat in studio. So we got back from the kitchen. We tried this Impossible Burger. It has all. I told you at the beginning, the ketchup tastes the same. All the lettuce, tomato, onion, that tastes the same. But that burger-ish, what are your thoughts?
Well, okay. So you had Burger King for dinner.
Right.
So you have a fresh idea of what the beef is supposed to taste like.
Right.
The last burger I had was a McDonald's burger.
Okay.
Actually, I had a chicken sandwich that night. Anyway, so I haven't had a Whopper in a long time.
Okay.
But the thing about a Whopper is they put so much junk on, like the burger, it's all condiments and vegetables anyway.
Right.
All I taste when I get a Whopper typically is ketchup, mayonnaise, onion, and smoke.
Okay.
That's what I taste when I get a Whopper.
Okay.
This tasted like ketchup, onion, mayonnaise, and smoke.
Okay. So about the same.
To me, again, I haven't had a Whopper. I cannot tell you the last time because my digestive system does not agree with Burger King.
Oh boy.
In general, I don't know, whatever their broiler, they're like I love onion rings, so every time they just destroy me. So
wow.
Yeah, I thought it tasted like a Whopper.
Yeah.
And just to clarify, we had the double Whopper with cheese. So we got extra impossible beef, whatever that's called.
Yeah. I will say it is leaving a weird aftertaste in my mouth. I don't know if you're getting that, but it's back about 3/4 of the way back of my tongue.
Yeah, like the sides of your tongue, kind of.
And I can't get it out.
It's like eating plastic almost. That's what it tastes like to me.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like if you've ever eaten a Snickers wrapper, that's what it tastes like.
I have not, but I can imagine.
I'm not going to tell that story.
Yeah.
But
we'll talk about the Snickers wrapper and the fact that you can't sleep with the sheet on your feet in another episode.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it's a weird aftertaste to it. I did not have that with the regular. And in full transparency, I had a rodeo cheeseburger, which is the hamburger, the onion ring, and the barbecue sauce on top. So it wasn't a real Whopper.
But the beef was supposed it was real as you get at Burger King.
Right.
Now, apparently, when doing research to pull this up, I saw their new offering on the picture on the website. That pretzel bun thing.
Can we get away from the gosh dang pretzel bun? I'm so sick of that thing. It is everywhere.
Where's the pretzel bun?
You remember a while back there was a craze where everything was a pretzel bun. Everything had a pretzel bun on it.
I guess Wendy's had a pretzel bun for a while, didn't they?
Everybody had a pretzel bun. My grandma had a pretzel bun. I'm like, Grandma, how'd you? I don't know. I got it from Burger King. Grandma, stop.
I always get the pretzel bun at Sheetz if I'm eating at Sheetz.
Okay. There was a pretzel bun fad going on, but I guess they're bringing it back.
Yeah. So this sandwich to me, I'm not gonna call it a burger,
right? Sandwich.
Sandwich. The situation where you get this is first you're a vegetarian.
Mm-hmm.
Your car breaks down 12 miles from civilization.
Okay.
You walk that 12 miles to a nowhere town, and there's a Burger King, and you're starving. But you're not. They don't have salads at Burger King, do they?
Yes.
Do they?
They do.
Oh well. If you have to eat vegetable food at Burger King and you're a vegetarian, this is what you get.
So this is in the scenario, the 12-mile hike. That's if you're a vegetarian.
Yeah.
Because if I'm not a vegetarian, I'm going to go for everything else on that menu.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm going to get the rodeo burger or 3 or 4 of them.
Uh-huh.
So you walk 12 miles, salad ain't going to do it.
No.
Right.
No.
Even if you are this is what this is for.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I hear other companies are trying to also mimic the plant-based, meatless food. I don't know how well that's going to go over. I don't know how well this is going to go over. To be honest.
Yeah, I'm skeptical on what my drive to Washington D.C. is going to be like tomorrow morning.
Well, to be fair, you had half of one. So
half of one, yes.
You've got a solid 12 hours to clear it out of the system.
But I'm going to top it with Taco Bell when I leave. Probably.
Oh yeah, well that's your fault on that one. All right. So we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we have special guest Jay Turner from Dive 21 Studios in studio with us. We'll be back. You're listening to the Southern Fried Philosophy Podcast. The views and opinions of Southern Fried Philosophy are not necessarily those of our guests, sponsors, or friends of the show, but they should be. All right, we're back. You're listening to the Southern Fried Philosophy Podcast, and in studio with us, we have Jay Turner, Dive 21 Studio. You've been on it before, and you're back again. Welcome back, Jay Turner.
Thank you for having me. I love this show.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you being on. Last time you were on, episode 61. We are now officially at 120.
120, so you're almost like...
halfway through.
I'm the halfway guy.
Yeah, halfway. So we'll get you back on at
180.
Half from now or 60 more. Which one?
It would be half from now. So 240, right?
Oh wow.
Are we going to double? So 60 is 120, and then 120 to 240.
Why are we doing math again?
We can't. We clearly cannot do math.
I think we were talking about film, guys.
All right, let's just go to film.
I didn't do so well in math.
I didn't either. Jay, tell us what's been going on. The last time you were in studio, we're talking about a new film. Tell us what happened to that film. Where are we at now? What's going on?
Well, first and foremost, the last time I was here, we were talking about The Forgiven.
Mm-hmm.
And where I was at that point, it was about me as a filmmaker
mm-hmm.
and The Forgiven and just what I could do. Mm-hmm. And in the time since I've been in the show, God's really gripped my heart, and he kind of showed me that it's not about you. It's about the message that I want you to give. So, I can grow the kingdom. So that's what really gave birth to Dive 21 Studios.
Okay.
And so what we did was Mike Adams, that he played Val Drexel in The Forgiven. I came to him and we wanted to start a production company together. And so we created Dive 21.
Okay.
Quick little fun fact about Dive 21. He was my football coach back during Pee Wee leagues. And well, not Pee Wee. I was like, I don't know, 11 or 12. Anyway, he would always call 21 Dive. And I would opt out of it because I was a passing quarterback and I never wanted to hand the ball off. So there was like that frustration. So when we were trying to come up with the name, he came up with Dive 21. I was like, brilliant. Really defines, our relationship.
That you just bail out and leave anytime he calls the play?
That's what he wants to do.
Yes, whenever. I was like, okay, they're man to man. We'll go run.
We had 42 belly option. That was our favorite play. We were running it just right up the middle.
Philly 2 belly option. That'll be our subsidiary studio. That'll be our music company right there.
Belly 2.
That's the show title. 42 belly option.
42 belly option.
Yeah. So anyway, so then we brought on Ray Benfield, and he's our VP in public relations and things like that. But when we started it, we asked ourselves, do we just want to be another production company? Mm-hmm. And we decided, if we're, the morals and stuff that were found in this company that's when we decided, hey, we're going to partner up with as many local charities and statewide charities as we can and give most of the revenue that we generate off of our movies back to these charities. Mm. And then right after that's when for about a year I was emailing about 28 distribution companies once every week. And then finally one of them reached back to me. Was like, can you please stop emailing us? I was like, well, did you take the time to look at it? And they're like, actually, yes, we did. And that's why we're calling you. And so they wanted to pick up the Forgiven for national distribution.
Oh, wow.
And then I said, that's great, but can we do one even better? And they were like, what are you talking about? And I was like, well, I've got this next project I'm working on, Legacy River. And they were like, ooh, that sounds good. And I'm like, well, it's going to be.
Also, to back up, the intro part of the story sounded a whole lot like my high school dating career.
Yeah, I've had sales. I think about the emails I get from as a business owner. People, I have had people marketing me, sending me emails that sound like I've had conversations with them. But I've never responded to anything, and they're going, "Hey, about that thing we talked about." I'm like, "I'm not taking that."
Is that the prince from Africa that's trying to get your money?
This is just like someone who wants to work on a website or something. But I've literally based on the email starts with based on what we talked about.
Oh yeah,
we never talked.
Yeah, that's when you got to go. Sorry, we digress. Go ahead, Legacy River.
Now I'm into that story. I want to technique. No, so we were talking about Legacy River. And so I sent them the spec trailer, sent them the script, and sent them the EPK. And then they came back and they said, well, how about, what do you want to do with this? And I said, all I want is just a letter of intent to say if we make it, then you guys will distribute it. And then they came back and said, well, how about we do you one better?
What?
And they're like, let's just put this as a 2-picture worldwide release deal. And I said, okay, that sounds good. But inside I'm like, yes,
Okay.
And then we get off the phone and, here we are. And then kind of months later, the distribution part is just a whole beast in itself, and everything what we call deliverables and everything that you have to break down from the technical aspect of it, the file formats and release forms. I mean, it took me about 2.5 months to get everything, and I'm talking 8-10 hour work days to get everything to them. And then once I got everything to them, well, I hope they're not listening eventually.
Yeah.
But
nobody's listening.
That's not a problem.
What am I doing here? No, so they were like, yeah, Kevin Sorbo, we were putting out a movie with Kevin Sorbo called Forgiven, so we're going to need you to change the title. And I was like, well, I mean, you realize that I have to go back and re-render out everything, and then all the contracts and release forms, everything says they're forgiven.
Ooh.
And so now I'm having to do that in the midst of getting ready to start, we've been in pre-production, for Legacy River or whatever, but I digress. We got everything done, but to answer your question, that's what's been going on. So we changed the name from The Forgiven to Broken Armor, which we think is good. We came up with about 417 different titles, and I had a focus group of about 13 people, and we would just be throwing out names and be like, no, that's terrible. No, that's terrible.
What's the worst name that you had? Do you remember?
I do, but I don't want to say it.
Okay, what's the second worst title?
I would probably, what was it? Is it Heaven's Grace or something like that?
Oh, yeah. I would go see
And that was the thing. Nope. It's like, the thing about, making
Peaches and cream.
Well, the thing about making faith-based films is, if you're on like Christian film production, like if you follow a lot of these Facebook pages and stuff, even Christians are getting to the point, and this is a good thing because The Forgiven we started 5 years ago.
Yeah,
It's been like a 5-year project. And back then we wanted to push the envelope of Christian films. We didn't want to candy coat stuff or preach to the choir kind of thing. And that's fine, kind of like the Kindred Brothers or, everybody needs those types of movies. But where were the movies that, like if Jesus had a camera, what would he be doing? And what would he be making? And like what would he be putting out to people? And if you pay attention to Jesus' life, he was mostly interested in the lost and stuff and speaking to them. And if you're going to speak to the lost, then you don't have to be like them, but you have to be able to understand them and kind of understand their language. And so I'm not saying like in films that you need to cuss or nudity or anything like that, but you can't be following around a motorcycle gang and no one has tattoos, or no one says like a cuss word here and there,
right.
And people don't get violent, if you're trying to reach that target audience.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? But sorry, I didn't forget. I get on a roll, man, and I'm just,
No, you're fine. Just a side note, if you need anybody to do a nude scene, I'm available.
Okay.
I'm just throwing that out there.
Well, you just give me your rider and I'll send it over, everything you need.
It's the impossible Whoppers. That's what he needs.
Good callback joke. I love it.
Yeah.
So how difficult is, you were talking about like the other Christian film studios and production companies, like how...
Well, that's why, to finish that, the titles, everything's grace or faith or faith like rain or something like that, which is fine, but we want Broken Armor to stand out. And like when you watch the trailer, I didn't even tell you that it was a faith-based film. When you watch it, and now that I'm telling you that, it's kind of like, what do you think? How does it come across?
Well, I got the clue because we talked a few minutes before we started recording. I knew what you were doing with the faith stuff. Like I didn't know, based on my only interaction is listening to your previous podcast, most of it. And we never got to the faith part of that. Like I never finished that. I'll finish it home. But, I was listening to, like you were talking about Tarantino and like some of your inspirations. I was like, okay, and he had mentioned you were into the Christian stuff, doing films. So my immediate thought was like, what's the Cameron guy? Kirk Cameron?
Yeah.
His movies.
Yeah.
I haven't watched any of that stuff. I don't usually go to those movies because they're, in my opinion, they're not entertaining. I don't go to a lot of movies anyway. Anyway, seeing your trailer though, it looks really good. Like I'm impressed by the production value. In the top, it doesn't look like you're not going to show this at the church potluck, or for the youth group. It looks like edgy. There's some serious. I kind of wanted to see how it. I want to watch it just to see
October
how some
25th, next Friday.
Based on the trailer, which was like probably 2 minutes. Was it 2?
Right at 2.
And we'll put that in our show notes.
We'll have a link to that, absolutely. But I'm really curious, as someone who's very involved in the church, some of the issues you were tackling, like how do they resolve that? Like I need to know just so I can.
And see, that's the other thing too is when we were writing that story, I always, as a director, I just make the choice that I have what I think and what I believe, but I make it my goal to see what the opposing viewpoint is. And I put that against each other in the film and let the audience decide. I never try to push my viewpoint on anybody, and I leave it open-ended because I want people leaving the movie going, well, what would you have done? Well, I did that. And then you create a debate. And that's in essence, is what film is supposed to do. Stories are supposed to grow. They're supposed to entertain too, but they're also supposed to grow our psyches and grow us as human beings.
The ones that make you think are always better than just that stuff blew up and it was cool.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Yeah. So in today's time, but when I made this 5 years ago, church shootings, public shootings weren't as prevalent. And now it's getting ready to come out next year. I imagine it could be kind of controversial, especially the guy. We don't shoot the church up; they just rob it. But this guy's pushed to a corner to where he has to find money in order to save his daughter's life. And that was the other thing too. I just didn't say he has no money. He actually goes to the insurance agent, and they explained to him. I went to an insurance agent in real life and said, "Okay, if this was a situation, how would you be able to say no to this guy?" Yeah. And it's like, he told me, I'm like, okay, now I'm putting you in the movie. He's like, what? Now I'm like, yes, you're going to be in it. And that's exactly how I did it. Very authentic.
Yeah. Authentic. Yeah, words are hard here.
Yeah, definitely. I think words get sucked out when we come into the studio because I have them before.
It's the soundproofing.
That's what does it.
It's wordproofing.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't go. I'll go off on tangents.
No, man,
Okay.
you're completely fine.
Welcome to Southern Fried Philosophy.
So how hard you're talking about the production company and keeping like your focus, the focus, or in churchese we say, or Christianese we say, keeping the main thing the main thing. How do you keep focus on what you want to do and strive to keep hit your morals and not bend to break those, but still be able to push the envelope and make quality product?
This is a constant battle because the films I grew up on actually were like White Heat and James Cagney, and more of like Humphrey Bogart type stuff. And then I kind of grew into John Wayne. And then about 16, 17, that's when I found Quentin. And then when I went to college, that's when I found Jean-Luc Godard and Kurosawa and all these other, John Borman and all these other 60s and 70s, 80s directors. And I'm drawn to the crime drama. Like I love pirates. I love, the gangsters and the Westerns and the outlaws. And I'm just drawn to that honor and crime and that, morality, that fine line that you have to walk in your moral compass between violent men and people that are actually compassionate. Like a Clint Eastwood movie for a few dollars more. He's playing both sides. So technically you look at that character and he's like, is he a good guy or is he like, because he takes after the little guy, but he's, shooting. So you don't know.
Vigilante.
So and that moral conundrum. And that's the movies that I started out making. I got my first camera when I was 10. And then the first couple of movies I made were not faith-based. And then my mom is like, why don't you do faith-based movies? I was like, And then ever since then, I've had to balance that out. And I never want to feel forced to like, well, this is a faith-based film, so you can't have this in it. And I don't, an artist should never feel like he's got, like a mummy with all this bureaucratic, religious red tape wrapped around you. Because then you're not going to make a true film, and it's more just agenda really that you're putting out there. So the basis of what I do, in order to combat that, I have a couple of people that I trust as I'm writing the story, and they're like my soundboard, and I'll say, okay, so we're going to have this scene, and this is where I want the characters doing. And then as I'm just like coming up with it off the cuff, developing the story, I'm like, and then this guy can do this and this, and they're like, what's the point? And then I'll say, that's a good point. And it's like, okay, what are you trying to do? What does this mean? And then they keep me close to what the moral of the story and what the theme is, and that's what really helps me walk that line, to Johnny Cash it, so to speak. So it's just having a group of people that you tell what, just keep you in check, basically.
Nice.
And I just let things out, and then they just kind of chop off what goes past those boundaries and stuff and try to contain it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, that's got to be a huge responsibility on their shoulders, too, to say, that's too much.
It is.
Gotcha.
Mike Adams does a really good job, and now that we have Ray Benfield on board, he's amazing, too. And then I've one of my close friends, Jason. He's actually a police chaplain, and he started his own charity, Springs of Hope, that works around like PTSD and like military and fire and police and all this other stuff. And he's a straight shooter, and he's a really good sound. Yeah, he's a really good soundboard to put stuff off, and that's what it's all about. Because it takes a village. I can't sit up here and say, this film is all mine. A director, you're supposed to facilitate everybody's talent and what they're good at. It's a film by this or a film by this, but you're in control and you make the creative decisions, but that doesn't mean the creativeness in those decisions are always yours. And as long as you give credit to those people, then that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
So you said you have your own production company, so you don't.
Mike and I.
Yeah, well, the two of you, partnership. I'm assuming some kind. So there's not like an outside source saying, "Hey, you can't put this in your movie, or you need to do it a different way."
Not in the beginning, but now that we have distribution, there is. So it's if they know everything that we're doing in Legacy, and they've approved everything because they read the script and all that stuff before they signed it. So. Yeah, if I just take out a scene and then put something else in there and then try to sneak it in there, that wouldn't be too good. But for them, it's a business. So they're going to go, okay, we're going to target this film to these groups of people or this, target geographical location and stuff like that. And if you want this movie to do well, then you have to stay kind of inside that box. So if you think about the Mask of Zorro with Antonio Banderas and Anthony Hopkins,
Antonio Banderas.
And Antonio Banderas. So like when they're talking about him like in the circles and he has those rings, that's like me in the center. And so I have my close ring and then, that big one. And it's kind of feels like that sometimes.
Gotcha. Okay.
So talk about Broken Arrow. Before the show, we watched a clip. We'll have the clip in the show notes so you can watch it. But those that are listening, that are driving, that may not be able to hit play,
cool.
Tell us a trailer of Broken Armor.
Broken Armor is about Tristan Harris, and his daughter gets a glioblastoma, which is a type of brain cancer. And when they find that, they have to act immediately. You have to have surgery to remove it immediately. This is not one of the things that you can sit and wait.
Okay.
Well, the insurance says that they can't pay for it because the tier, and I didn't know this until I researched, like I was telling you, there's tiers of insurance, and, this is 5 years ago. I don't know if it's changed. But there's tiers of insurance, and the tier of insurance that they were in didn't cover the actual cost of that surgery. So, and again, I don't know if they would actually do it and then they would just owe all this money, but remember, it's a movie.
Right.
But I tried to get it.
There's no St. Jude in this movie, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
Ronald McDonald House.
So he has to. They try to remortgage the house or do the equity, find money that way. They try to go to the church. They try every possible avenue to get the money, and they can't. So he turns to a local. The only thing that he can do is he turns to a local mobster that he knows through a friend, and the mobster comes in and says basically, "I'll give you the money, but now you work for me." And in this, it's a really great scene because Val Drexel was the mobster's name, and he says, do you know what this is? When he shows him the money, and Tristan's like, that's my daughter's second chance, and he says, wrong, Mr. Harris, that's slavery. And then Tristan says, well, I guess we're all slaves to something, which is so true.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes, interesting. He goes, but if you basically take this money, I'll own you. And then from that point, he takes the money back to his wife. And he tells her that someone at the church donated it, so he lied. And then there's this whole montage of basically like, I'm describing the movie, not the trailer. Sorry.
No, that's fine.
Anyway, he has to do all these things and like collecting money and beating people up and stuff like this. And as he's doing it, it takes a toll on him,
sure,
which creates a dysfunction in his family life and his marriage. And it comes to like a really big bull in head. And then the straw that breaks the camel's back is the mobster has him rob the church. And so after he robs the church, this is his breaking point. And then I don't want to give too much away, but then that's when he starts to fight back and everything goes crazy. But also, we also follow the young pastor of the church that he robs. And there's a scene where he speaks with the deacons and kind of coming back to what we were talking about, presenting both sides of the table. All the deacons present different ideas. And basically, half of the deacons are saying, we can't publicly forgive this man. The other ones are saying, but we can because that's what we were called to do. And the pastor's stuck in the middle, and the pastor goes out and seeks, advice. He gets advice from his young daughter and his wife and then his mentor and stuff. And so there's a whole play on that, like, is every sin forgivable, which is the tagline. So it tackles a lot. And there is violence. I mean, it's PG-13 or 13 plus if you're going Dove approval. So there is some pretty adult things to tackle in there. But that's the thing. It's no one's, hopefully, I don't want to say that, but hopefully, but more or less, no one's going to walk out of here, coming to Jesus. And it's not about that. It's for Christians, but it's also for people to understand what Christianity is about. But it's also just as people, how do we deal with things like this? And we don't always know someone's side of the story and what's really happening. So
yeah,
there you go. Sorry.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
That's fantastic.
I saw a trailer and went, oh, okay. I really want to see how that's resolved. Good work on, hooking me into
that. So when is that going to be out? You talked a little bit about October 25th.
Yeah, so the distribution, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
The distribution company gave me permission to have a premiere. So it'll be in Morganton. And the theater that we're actually showing it at, we actually shot a scene in the movie, which is pretty cool.
Oh, nice.
There's some pretty neat trivia stuff in there. October the 25th, 6:30, and then they're going to give us matinees on the 26th and 27th, which on Saturday, I would imagine it's around 1 o'clock, and then Sunday is going to be around 3 o'clock, so you have church and then time to go eat and stuff and come see the movie. But the interesting thing, and this is going back to the charity part of Dot 21, so we partnered up with 3 charities up there: Burke United Christian Ministries, the Meeting Mission Place, which is a women's shelter, battered shelter, and stuff like that. And then we have Springs of Hope, what I was talking about, my friend Jason. But on the 25th, we're going to be taking canned food items, winter coats, and children's toys that people can come and donate. And we'll be on site at 5 o'clock taking those. And then people can, I won't be there Saturday or Sunday, more than likely. But you can still bring them in the theaters. Garland there has agreed to hold them for me, and I'll come pick them up and distribute them accordingly.
Nice.
So, yeah. And then we'll also have a table there. We're going to be doing some raffles. I've ordered some pint glasses with the movie title and everything, and we'll be signing those glasses. So people put $5 in, and then I ordered a case of them and stuff like that. And then I'll have a couple movie posters and whatnot.
Nice.
And the movie poster, I should show you that because I'm a really big fan of 70s movie posters. Mm-hmm. So when I designed this, it's actually a design like a 70s movies movie poster.
Nice.
Yeah, that's like oh man, what's the guy from with the mustache from the 80s? I'm thinking about when I see this.
That's not appropriate.
I forget the name of the Death Watch or that
Death Wish.
Death Wish
Charles
guy.
Bronson.
Yeah. I want to see. That's what that looks like. It's Charles Bronson a little bit.
Nice. So all the stuff that goes into a movie. You said this started 5 years ago. Wrapping it up now.
Interesting story. So, I took. I was in the military, came out, and took some time off, and I actually became a golf pro. I was assistant golf pro at Rocky River Golf Club. When I got out of the military, I spent about 18 months practicing and studying, and then I got my PGA status, and I was sitting in the club shop for I've been working on this for 18 months, and here I am at a really good course at that time. I don't know if it's still operating very good. But anyway, I'm sitting there for about 2 months. I'm like, this is not what I want to do. And so I called my mom. I was like, I don't want to do this. I really want to make movies. And she's like, well, do you have any money saved up? I was like, I don't know. I've got about a month, 2 months worth of bills I can probably cover.
Yeah.
And then so I was like, well, screw it. So I quit. I went home. I wrote the script. And then I got my grandpa's like $200 camera because I didn't have this camera back then. And I got his $200 camera, and I went out and I filmed like a spec trailer, and then I took that and then I went out and raised close to like $20,000 to make the movie.
Holy
and then
cow.
made the movie, and then afterwards I was like, I don't want to work for anybody again. And that's when I started my business and started doing that. So, I took a leap of faith, and God's really kind of carried me throughout. And so here we are.
What's some of the hardest thing? Obviously, you write the script, then you got to film it, produce it. What's the hardest part of that part?
Logistics and pre-production, scheduling, getting everybody scheduled together, because you're not dealing on, a shoestring budget for Hollywood is $1 million. And that may sound like a lot, but it's really not. When you talk about 20 union guys at $1,000 a day rates and stuff, I mean, you can, and then rentals and stuff like that. But scheduling, getting locations, scouting that, getting people to confirm on this, and just basically planning the whole thing, it's just a monstrosity. And as a creative, I hate it, obviously.
Yeah.
And what is it, like that's the left part of the brain or the right part of the brain?
Left brain's creative, I believe.
Yeah, so it's more right brain, and I'm way left.
What's back brain? Because I think I'm that one. That part usually tingles a lot.
Yeah, so the logistical part of pre-production is probably the hardest because it's so monotonous and just there's no creativeness to it.
Now, when we were watching the trailer earlier, you said you broke some ribs. So tell us about that while the car crashed.
So this goes back to where you're like keeping it inside in the fence. What's kind of getting outside. Well, I wanted a car crash. Why? Because I wanted one.
Yeah, sure.
Production value.
You got to have something.
Yeah, and my dad, I wouldn't be able to do it without my dad, Jerry. But he's a mechanic. He owns his mechanic shop, and he had this Jeep sitting there that didn't run, but he tweaked it a little bit. He got it running enough to where we could get it to the top of the street. Yeah, so I was like, so we can crash this and no one's going to care. No, we just use it for parts. I'm like, okay, cool. So then we found another car that didn't run, and then I was like, okay, so we're going to park it in his, because there's a main street and then his parking. So I was going to have the character drive out from his parking garage and cut off this person coming down the street, and then that person runs and hits the car. That was the original idea. Then I got Eric Hildebrand, stunt driver, involved. We started looking at it, and we're like, well, what if we crash through some garbage cans or something like that? And then I was like, I don't know who came up with it, but it was like, it eventually got to, what about a wall of tires with water in it? So it just like all this way. I was like, do we know any tire guys? I'm like, yeah, whatever, we'll call him. And so we had all these tires delivered to the parking lot. We put the car on the right side, and then we built this wall of Jericho, basically, of just all these tires. And then we did like run-throughs where we would just come through and just go around it, just kind of practicing getting real close between the two cars because we were on radios. The original plan was for the Jeep that the hit in the car was to hit at 35 miles per hour.
Mm-hmm.
We hit it at 53.
What?
Yeah. So the night before, we had storyboarded where we wanted all the cameras and coverage and stuff. Well, the night before, I'm sitting out at the production house on the lake that Lake James Realty got us. Really, thank you, Polly Ledbetter. So we're sitting on the back porch. It's like 11 p.m. at night, and I'm sitting there talking to the sound guy and the DP. I'm like, you know what? I think we should put a camera inside the car. And Sean looks at me. The DP is like, no, you're not paying me enough, and there's no insurance on this thing. So I was like,
talk to your insurance guy. Yeah. He said no.
I was like, but how awesome it would be. They're like, yeah, it would be awesome, Jay, but I don't want to die.
Right.
And I was like, but it's for the shot,
always
bro.
The thin line.
Yeah. So I was like, you know what? I'll do it. So we got in there and prepped. I got a pillow, and I 2 bungee cords that I strapped around my mid-waist, and then I got a towel and wrapped it around.
That's going to stop it.
Around my neck. And my mom didn't know I was doing this. And so we sent her off to get some food for Crafty or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, I get in the car. I'm getting in the car, and we go up, and we're like, ready. And we get down there, and you can hear me in the camera, like, going, slow down. We crashed through that, bam, hit it. And in the behind the scenes, and I've got it in the behind the scenes footage, you can hear me as soon as the car hit the other car and settled, you can hear me go, oh. And then you hear Eric, the stunt driver, go, "You all right?" And I fall out of the truck. But we had the street shut down. We had fire and paramedics on standby, and then the paramedics came over there. And my dad was like, "You're all right. Everything's good."
Yeah, rub some dirt on it. It'll be fine.
Yeah, he's a paramedic too. So this was at, I think, 8:30 or 7:30 in the morning. We didn't wrap until about 1 a.m. And so the whole day it just gets worse and worse. And the more I laugh, it became a running joke for everybody to see if you can make me laugh,
Right.
And then later on that night, I just end up passing out and I wake up in the hospital and I've got 2 cracked ribs. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And then in the shootout scene in the movie, we used wax tips for the bullets, like to keep the gunpowder in. Mm-hmm. First shot, first take of it, about 120 feet away, I got shot with a 45 caliber, the wax tip coming from a 45 caliber rifle right in my leg.
Oh my!
And I had to go through that whole scene. Ouch. And then after cut, I got up and I'm limping, and you can hear my dad in the background going, "That boy gets hurt more than anything."
So I've never heard of a director doing his own stunts before.
Really?
I don't follow the independent film scene, but
I guess I don't know. I never thought about it. Because you hear actors doing it, but I don't know. I've never thought about that.
That's dedication.
Maybe you should have one of the actors do it.
So while you were setting up that scene, you're talking about stacking stuff up. There was this movie. I forget what movie it was. It was a parody or something. And there's a scene where they said, "Well, oh no, they just told us to walk back and forth with this pane of glass the whole time." And eventually, at the end of the movie, it pays off. Something comes through, breaks the grass, hits like a boxes of chickens are everywhere. They set that up in the very beginning of the movie. We're just supposed to stand here to stack these boxes. And then, then something happens like an hour later and pays off the joke. But that's what I'm thinking in my head when I talk about the tires stacked as this whatever parody movie was. I don't know.
That moment when I had tires ordered, delivered, and stacking, that's the one moment that I've felt most like a director.
Not releasing movies or being at a premiere or anything else like that. Getting tires delivered and stacked up. That's what did it.
It's for a car wreck. For independent filmmaker, this is really cool. It's
a big time stunt.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Oh, it was
nice.
It was good. Awesome.
So if people can't make it to Morganton on when this gets released Friday, Saturday, Sunday, where can people see the movie?
Right. So the best thing that I can tell you is to like us on Facebook at Dive, DIVE 21 Studios, all one word, at Dive 21 Studios. Like us and follow us on Facebook. The Broken Armor should be released second quarter of 2020, so sometime between April, May, and June. Okay. And it is national, so we will be posting where it's going to be at. It could be in some Walmarts here and there, CVS and stuff, some red boxes. They're going to pitch it to Netflix. Maybe they take it, maybe they don't. Legacy River that we're working on right now is slated to be on Netflix.
Oh, wow.
But for Broken Armor, but it could end up on Hulu. It could end up on Vudu or wherever these VOD platforms. I I'm sure it'll end up on Amazon, but I'm not sure if it'll end up on Amazon Prime because I don't know if there's money made off of that to the distribution company. So the best thing I can tell you is just to follow the page. You know, they're gonna try for Broken Armor to have a theatrical release. Like, if that happens, then we'll post it.
Yeah.
If not, I'm also working on a small run of about 20 to 25 theaters in the local area.
Okay.
Reaching down to Charlotte, Kannapolis, maybe, because I know to show it at the gym. Maybe we can show it at the gym again.
Nice.
But again, I don't really know.
Yeah.
So the best thing to do is just to follow the page.
Yeah.
And we'll be letting people know when it can come out.
Nice. So.
Yeah, I have just a question about being like having access to like the streaming stuff now. Does that help you as a small or independent?
Oh God, it's amazing. Distribution was so different 5 years ago because it was kind of a monopoly on it. Netflix being pretty much that was where you wanted to go. And then you have like HBO Now and stuff. But now, I mean, what is it? Apple TV's coming out with something with Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon or something like that. So there's so many apps that have their own VOD streaming platform now.
Yeah,
which is, and I feel like it's because there's so many people and everybody watches stuff all the time.
Yeah, so it never stops.
Yeah, so the demand for content has supplied us with work, and now that's what you're seeing is everybody's just popping up with their own TV shows, and these companies are constantly looking for content creators, looking for the next Game of Thrones or the next big thing, which is great for us because it creates work. But the only thing is, and I may be off on this, and this is just speculation, but the more people that are looking for stuff means that the amount that they would have paid you 5 years ago is probably gone vastly down. So if you've got 2 or 3 competitors, but now there's 20 people out there looking for content, there's
more slices to the pie, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah. So they're like, do you want to be on it? There's more bargaining chip leverage for them.
Yeah.
But work is work. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, and if you get picked up, say you're on Hulu or Netflix or something, and you get a lot of views, that just helps you in the future, right? I mean,
oh yeah, the more views just adds up because it's the popularity. It's kind of like music too. Before music companies they go out and find talent and then sign you, and they're like, this guy's gonna be big.
Then they own you. It's slavery.
Yeah, exactly. Nice callback, Joe. He's the king of callbacks. CB, that's your name. Okay, so music companies now, they're like, they wait for people to get big. You have to go out and get your own videos. You have to go out and get your following. You have to go out and do all this stuff. And then right when you start to trend, then we're going to attach ourselves to your coattails. Yeah. And it's the same way in film.
Interesting.
So that's why, we do all this stuff. That's why I do radio and TV, and no one's going to do it for me,
Yeah. Did I put you on a plane to Japan to do press tour?
I love Japan. I've been there. I love Tokyo.
What? Tell us about Legacy River.
Legacy River is awesome. Legacy River, Proverbs 26:8. Basically, he who trusts in his riches shall fall, and the righteous shall flourish like the branch. So Legacy River is based on greed. And so you have the guy that played Val Drexel's playing the villain again. He was originally scheduled to play the good guy, but then we just kind of switched him. We're like, we're just going to typecast you, But he's playing a really crooked sheriff. But basically, what happens is you have Legacy River, which is the ranch for the main character, Luke and Walter, they're brothers, and they run this ranch. And then they fostered 2 kids, right? And then you have Clifford and Colin Archer, who are brothers. Clifford is the sheriff; he's the bad guy, and Colin is the brother. And their father had this huge fortune, and the father just left it to Colin, which really, pissed Clifford off. And so Clifford has created this vendetta to become rich and powerful. He's extremely greedy. Well, he finds oil on the land, the James Ranch, and no one knows it. So he starts concocting a plan to get my character killed and frame my brother. To get my brother to kill his brother Colin because he thinks Colin did it. And then Walter goes to jail and then kicks the kids off. But there's one little problem. There's this man named Mr. Allen who's the lawyer. And the kids, Luke left, he was a poker player too. So there's like a bad side not a bad side, but he's a gambling side. And he had this choice because the ranch is also in foreclosure. So he has a choice to take this money he's won from gambling to save the ranch or to give it to these kids and set them up for life. And he sets up a trust. But when he dies, the lawyer comes in and gives the trust to the kids. The kids meet the lawyer. So when all this stuff happens and Luke gets killed and Walter gets blamed and he gets arrested and all stuff, they go to Mr. Allen. Then he starts snooping around and figures out the entire plan, ends up helping bring everything down, or bringing Clifford down. And then the ranch goes to the two kids. And then what the two kids do with it is the most important part. They donate 90% of what they make off these oil fields back to the local communities, creating like shelters and building homes and giving seed money to local entrepreneurs to get their money started and taking, as long as those entrepreneurs give a percentage back to these charities. And so they're doing all this stuff. And so they end up like on a news station talking about what they're doing. And at the very end of the film, one of the siblings, looks at the camera and it's like, what's your legacy? And that's what it's about. It's like how on one side, when you make decisions as a human being that are based on greed, if you think of that decision, when you make that decision to throwing a rock in a water, the ripples and how many people it really can affect. And so we want people to think about the recourse to those actions based off of greed. But then also when you're given something so substantial, what you're supposed to do with it. Instead of going out and buying a Lamborghini, why don't you just rent a Lamborghini for an hour and get that experience, and then take the money and give it to somebody else. And the other thing about it is I have these young kids in today's time making these decisions. So I want people their age that see this film to think about that. You see what I'm saying? But also at the same point, you don't have to have all this money and all of this stuff. We all have the capability to help other people within our capacity. And even though there's people out there that want to give back and want to do all this stuff, but they can't because they're limited, that's okay. Just be okay with what you can do. But the point is, as long as you do it, and that's the tagline to the movie is what's your legacy? And that's what we want to get people, and it's a modern Western too, which is kind of cool.
I was thinking it was a modern take on Hamlet, but I guess I'm totally off.
No, I was thinking like Matlock and Beverly Hillbillies.
Oh yeah, that'd be good.
Hey, I like that. Matlock meets Beverly Hillbillies.
Yeah,
I miss Andy Griffith, by the way. He's so good.
Yeah.
He was so good. Anyway, I digress.
It
sounds like a great story, great message.
And we do have the spec
kids.
trailer out for that on the Facebook. So that spec trailer is out. And it's about, it's got a monologue about my character. So my character in the movie, his wife was killed. His wife and son were killed in a drunk driving accident. And there's this scene with his brother in the movie where his brother comes to him talking about God and stuff, and my character's like, God, you want to talk to God? You want to talk to me about God? Where was God when I was holding my son like in my arms? And he just starts spouting off all this stuff, and then he pulls out a gun and tries to kill himself, and Walter, his brother, stops him from doing it. And this is based off of I had a brother commit suicide in front of two of my other brothers and stuff, and then so suicide is kind of it's not a main theme, but it's a sub theme in there, but we never. After that scene, I never show the two brothers like reconciling after that because you don't always get the opportunity. But in that scene, when his brother's talking about, where was God and all this stuff, he says, because it's like when you're writing it, going back into you guys' questions earlier, I was sitting there, I was like, what could he say? And I was like, but I don't want him to preach, like be preaching, well, this and this, because it just doesn't seem natural.
Yeah.
So basically, I was just like, I'm just going to write what comes natural. What I think would really happen. And Walter says to his brothers, like, I wish I was a pastor, or I wish I knew scripture to tell you, but I don't. But all I can tell you is God does exist. And it's just plain right out there like that. There's no come to Jesus moment. There's no I feel like most Christian movies would attack this scene as, there'd be a bunch of crying. The brother says some, crazy monologue or something. And, the brother, they just hug and stuff. And, but that's not real life.
Yeah.
You're right.
And it's okay, but there are some movies where we do need those movies, but I feel like those movies are out there. So, sorry, go off on a random tangent.
No, very good. My last question for you, what does the gaffer do?
I don't know.
Okay, all right.
No,
there's the tape involved, right?
No, so you have the gaffer tape. Gaffer tape can put down, like you got all these like crazy wires sitting on the floor. Gaffer tape would organize them and just walk over them. But gaffers do have that tape, so that's where. But they're also for action marks. So or cue marks for the actors, like they have to walk into a scene and they stop right there because before you roll, the camera's right there, and so you get a focus mark right there. So the actor walks right into and stops on their mark, and they're in focus. So the way cameras work, and then like cinema lenses and stuff, or prime lenses, like unless the camera's got autofocus or whatnot, but you have to actually manually focus those things. So like when you watch films and people are like moving and the camera's moving with them and stuff and they're staying in focus, there's a guy sitting on there's a second like assistant camera operator or pull focus guy keeping that focus that they have chalked, and they've run and rehearsed that and practice it down to the point where they've got it. So that's actually someone just nailing focus, man. And it's awesome to watch. But a gaffer mostly helps within the lighting department.
There you go. Any questions for you?
The things people don't think about as a director, you're like a lighting expert, you're a camera expert. Like you have to know how to do everything, right?
Yes, but I'll sit here and tell you I don't. But a good director, if you can't, and I think this is true for any industry or any role of leadership, if you are not an expert at that role or can't do that role justice, then you can't tell someone else how to do it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But not all directors know everything. So it's like, hey, man, I trust you. You know what you're doing. This is my vision. Get as close to it as you can.
But you have to know what what the end result, what you're looking for.
Yeah, well, you have to know the terminology of what you're wanting to do and stuff like that. But, all right. So in the film industry, what would your role be?
Oh, well, I'm an audio guy. So I would probably be like either an editor or like the guy holding the pole with the mic
boom pole?
Yeah, the boom pole.
Okay, cool.
Most likely, yeah.
What about you, JT?
I would be the guy guarding the craft services. That would be me.
Crafty.
Guarding the craft services? Guarding,
in air quotes.
Dude, you guys need to go on Facebook and follow movie set memes. There are so many jokes about, and it's only industry professionals in there. And you can learn a lot about the film industry and the terminology and stuff, but they make a lot of funny jokes about crafting and stuff. It's really cool. You should check it out.
I always am impressed by, sometimes you see the behind the scenes and the craft services, and there's so much food.
It looks like there's a lot of food. I mean, there's a lot of people on set, and then I guess you have in like Hollywood, you have famous people. You can't just bring them, Impossible Whoppers. You got to get them a better sandwich than that.
Right.
But the thing about the industry is, you asked about gaffers, and we have craft services. If you didn't know what that meant, like how's craft spelled? Is it KRFT because everyone has craft
like
cheese? Is that? I mean, seriously,
CR.
No, exactly. But the names for things in movies have no context outside of that world.
That is a good point.
So you can talk about like people who maybe they just hold a clipboard, have some crazy name on a film set. It makes them sound important, but they're just sitting there holding a clipboard. Which maybe it's important to hold that clipboard, but
Yeah. So if I said checking the gate.
Yeah.
That means check your fly because your fly is down.
The horse is going to get out of the barn.
Oh, really?
That's it. Check the gate.
I thought it meant the director's checking the playback monitor to watch what you just.
No, like speed.
But I like your version better. I think
this is a game. Now we're on.
Oh, here we go.
This is a great game.
So if you're on a film set and you hear I got a 10-2.
That's a breaking and entering.
10-2, I got to go poop.
Oh.
10-2.
10-2.
Oh.
All right. Fire Mattis. Give us some more because this is fantastic.
You got flag on the play. Kevin Smith loves that one. I mean, there was something wrong with...
flag, okay.
And that's a football term.
Okay, that makes sense. I'm with that. Yeah.
Striking.
That's bowling. That's a bowling term. You got to strike.
Striking. That's not related to the 10-2, right? That's a different...
striking.
Or you refuse to work.
Yeah, the writer's striking.
So I got something interesting. I know we got time. Not enough time, so I know this. Striking means you're like striking lights or turning them on and stuff like that. Oh. And then extension cords, they're called stingers.
Stingers? Because if you like bite one, it stings.
I don't know.
Why? Why do they call them stingers?
The vocabulary in that, it's the only place you see that.
Yeah.
Like in the audio, like I do, live audio and stuff. That's a cable.
Right.
That's a speaker.
You don't go on a construction work zone and somebody says, "Hey, bring me that stinger over there."
Yeah.
No, bring me the extension cord.
Sure.
Yeah, and I have trouble saying that when like I'm in stores or something. Do you have any stingers? Extension cords?
It must be like a union thing. Like you can't get a job in the film industry unless you've gone through like film vocabulary 101 or something.
Is there any more that we can?
Do you want to know how film was created?
Yes.
Okay. Ooh. Real quick. So, and I may not have all the names right, but this is the gist. So back in France in about 1891, there were two guys. Don't know the names. Who cares? But they were
Louis Pasteur.
They were at. I don't know, that must be inside joke. So there were two guys at a horse racetrack, and they got into an argument. Guy number one said, when a horse is running, at some point when a horse is running, all four hooves are off the ground. Mm-hmm. Guy number two said, you're wrong. There's always one hoof touching the ground.
So it's a bet?
It was a bet. And they said, okay, well, how can we prove this? So what they did is they called in a photographer to take pictures of a horse running. Well, he takes pictures like, well, this isn't true because there's gaps in it. So the photographer had the bright idea on the straightaway of the track. They set up like little strings in these cameras. So each time when the string was broken, it would take a picture. And this horse just ran across like hundreds of them. Boom.
Like frames per second.
And then he took the pictures and put them together like a flip book to create motion. And they found out that, of course, there's always one hoof on the ground.
So that was the punchline. Okay, wow.
But from that, and then you had these two brothers called the Lumiere brothers. They came in and took that one step further and created the world's first camera in 1893 that actually captured motion. Okay, and then they started filming little shorts, which were called actualities, which today we would probably call documentaries.
Okay,
but they would just film. They would just film real life. So they would go in the street, set up the camera, and just roll the camera, and people just walking and stuff like this. And then they would take these short films.
It's called YouTube now.
Yeah, and then they would take these little short films and they would put it into like these little gymnasium type things, put up chairs and stuff, and they would project it onto the screen and show people. Okay, technically, and it's debatable, the first horror film. So what they did was they went and filmed a train station, and they had this train coming into the station or whatever. All right, so they filmed the train coming into the station. So when they showed it to this audience, the closer the train got to the screen, people started getting really uneasy and stuff. Like, what's going on? It got a little bit closer, and by the time it got right up to them, people were screaming and running out the door because they thought they've never seen motion before. And that to me is like crazy about how today time we take all this stuff for granted.
Yeah.
But then this kind of developed into filming, like they started putting little, like the Great Train Robbery together, and they started putting little narratives together and stuff. And then they would make these little movies and they would show them, but then they were like, well, we want to show everybody. So that's when you got these people on horses and carriages and stuff to take their films, and they would travel to these little towns and set up, kind of like a circus. They come to town, they set up and put chairs up, and these were called Nickelodeons. Okay, huh. And then after that, then they go, well, we just kept doing all this
because they were all a nickel, right?
Yeah. So they just had to set up. They were like, well, we just can't keep traveling, So they wanted to expand, so they started setting up little centers and stuff. So the people would film, they'd send it to these centers, and then those centers would distribute it, and that's where you had distributors. And then they were like, well, why don't we just have theaters? Because all this stuff, just start churning out so much content because everybody wants it, And then that's where your movie theaters come. But it all came from a horse bet.
Wow.
And at some point in there, they said, we need a guy called a gaffer.
At some point, there's a gaffer coming. Yeah. It amazes me, like 130 years ago, and now we're just like doing the whole thing on phones and whatnot. It just blows my mind. Like, what's going to happen?
Yeah, like Steven Sauerbrauer making movies on iPhones. Yeah.
In another 130 years.
Yeah.
I can actually tell you where this is. And I wish I had a national stage to say this, just so I could say.
We're worldwide.
We are worldwide. That is.
I shouldn't have said that. That was mean. That was rude.
No, we are horrible. We know that.
So what I would like to do is, now that we have like the camera called the Oculus, like James Wan did for like the Conjuring and stuff, where it films 360. So what I want to do is I want to take the Oculus and then I want to mix virtual reality. So basically the idea is I can film the character and show you the frame that I want. Mm-hmm. But the camera's filming 360. So when you come into the theater, instead of 3D, forget 3D. You come into the theater and you put these virtual reality goggles on and you watch the character. But if you want to turn around and look what's behind, you can. And so it's a virtual reality movie that you walk like can go and experience.
Well, that like Jon Favreau did that with The Lion King, right? If you he directed it in VR. I've read a little bit, but it's a CGI movie, but they built he had a thing on his head and positioned stuff. He could see the whole world. He was directing it wasn't the perfect version of it, but it was, yeah.
But did they offer it to the public?
No, I don't think so. But it was for him as the director that's the technology they used to make that. I haven't seen the movie yet.
Oh,
but,
okay. I see what you're saying.
That's just the way he directed his animated movie was in VR. He was in the world, or a version of it. Probably wasn't the polished version.
Well, then there you go.
It's there.
You got that to the movie theaters. I think that's the only natural. That's the only way that we can really go, because scope or, just flat 2D is there's that. And then you have 3D, but it's people aren't really on to that.
Yeah, 3D messes with my head in a theater. I saw Avatar and that messed with that's the last 3D movie I did.
And that's the big thing. But look at virtual reality and how well that's done in like the gaming world.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? It's only natural that narrative film or documentary, maybe documentaries, but that world, they just eventually collide and think about that type of experience,
So what I hear Jay saying is what we need to do is invest in those wet wipes because we're going to be wiping down all those virtual reality headsets.
Oh, yeah, you're going to walk in, there's going to be a bin for the virtual reality glasses you sit on your head.
Yeah,
you sit in a chair
some teenager is going to be in their back with the wet wipes, cleaning them all off.
That's it.
That's the future. Actually, dude. If it starts, you need to buy that stock.
I'm just saying.
That is ingenious. No, that is truly ingenious. The guy that invented the paperclip. Think about that. I mean, you just.
Well, I was at Carowinds on Saturday.
Okay.
And they have, it's Carowinds time. I went during the day for my little kids.
Right.
But they have a silent disco.
Okay.
So, put your headphones on, you dance. Mm-hmm. No one hears the music but you. So it looks hilarious to watch. But there's a guy in the corner wiping down all the headphones.
Told you. With the wet wipes.
Yep.
All right, Jay Turner, thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate it.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yes, sir. So check out Broken Armor, Legacy River, soon to be on Netflix, worldwide, global release in Japan, coming up. Just pay attention to their Facebook page. We'll have all their links and whatnot, so you can follow them, check out their movies when they get released. Thanks again.
So thanks for tuning in to the Southern Fried Philosophy Podcast. Make sure to check us out on all the places that podcasts exist. Give us a like, leave us a comment. Go follow us on social media. We're at SFP Radio everywhere, Facebook, Instagram, Twitters. Reach out to us, contact us. We'd love to hear from you.
And we, again, want to say thank you to our sponsors. Also, a shout-out to States Vegas Radio because we did not mention them in the beginning. Thank you guys for playing our shows Monday at 6 o'clock and Friday at 4. Thanks again for tuning in to the Southern Fried Philosophy Podcast. And as always, keep looking up.